All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the old guy, and this is the last episode ever. Don't need to explain where that's going with the name, but I'm just gonna drop this last point on what I've been talking about. And these are some things that can help you. I'm gonna talk about some laws and legal procedures when it comes to dealing with the police. Now, the police have a lot of things on their side, but you also have a lot, and you need to learn what they are. Most of us, people of color, we don't take the time to know these things, so I'm going to let you know a couple of things that you have to deal with. First of all, I'm going to deal with traffic stops. Now, as a driver in a traffic stop, yes, you are required to give your information. Everybody knows that. But if depending on what state you're in, if you actually look up the law, most of the time you don't have to roll your window down and you don't actually have to hand over your identification, insurance, blah blah blah. This is because in most states it says you have to present, not hand over. Present means you have to show it to them. It doesn't mean you have to physically give any law enforcement officer your ID. The only problem is because of the color of your skin, it can turn into a bad thing. So the best thing to do is just to do it. Also, you don't have to roll your window all the way down. You don't have to give them the opportunity to reach their hand into the car. You don't. Again, this can cause them to overreact to how you're acting, and problems can go on from there. Just know the laws in the state that you deal with. Now, when it comes to certain laws that they like to throw in your face, police will use two major laws to get you to do what they want you to do. The first one is Pennsylvania v. Mims. It's out of Pennsylvania. It states that when a police officer, basically, this is the layman explanation, when they tell you to get out the car, you have to get out the car. Passenger, you have to get out the car. If they actually get out, there is no argument to this. Do not try to fight it, because you're going to wind up in handcuffs and in the back of a squad car, period. Okay, that is a resisting arrest charge. There's a failure to obey an order charge. They'll throw all of that at you. Now, along with Pennsylvania v. Mims, they will throw Terry v. Ohio at you. Terry v. Ohio allows the police to do what's called a cursory pat down. This means they can pat down the outside of your clothes, search you for weapons, officer safety. I spoke about that before. But what you do have to understand is it doesn't give them the right to go in your pockets. It doesn't give them the right to make you empty your pockets. When they tell you to empty your pockets, you can simply say no. Don't let them fool you into it. And yeah, I'm going to smoke. Anyway, Terry v. Ohio allows a cursory search. I said that. Okay, pat down, blah blah blah. Even the passengers have to deal with this. But passengers do not. In most states. Now they talk about stop and ID states. I'm going to get into that. They cannot get your ID simply because they want to run you for warrants. That falls under the Fourth Amendment. Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. We're going to deal with these constitutional laws. The Fourth Amendment states that a person should be secure in a person, place, effects. And I believe there's something else. Person, place, effects. Yeah. If I think of anything else about that, I'll tell you. But that means they're not legally required to get your ID unless you're suspected of having committed, in the commission of committing, or going to commit a crime. Now, if you're in a stolen car, your dumb ass is going in with everybody else. In the hands of one and the hands of all. That's the way it's treated. Even if the state doesn't recognize that law the way this state I'm presently in does. If you are in a stolen car or in possession of stolen property with someone that is actually in possession of it, your ass going to jail. Don't argue with them about it, your ass going to jail. Now, I'm going to teach you a little trick. And here's a little trick on that Pennsylvania v. Mims. Now, what the police are always going to try to do is they're going to try to stand in a position to where they can hold your door open after you leave and move you away from the car without closing the door. What that does is it opens up the plain view doctrine. Plain view doctrine simply states that it's an exception to the Fourth Amendment, allowing evidence and contraband that is visible to be used against you, and will allow them to further search your car, your house, blah, blah, blah. So, understand that. Now, on these traffic stops, most of us have had this happen, but we never realized it was illegal. Now, you get pulled over for, I'll say, failure to signal. They'd love to use that one. Oh, you didn't signal. Well, they're going to write you the ticket. And after they finish all this, they're going to hand you all your information back. And then they're going to ask you if we can search the car. Now, that going back to the Fourth Amendment, you can say no. Now, here's a little trick. Inside of a certain amount of time police have to write a ticket, they can call for a drug dog. Okay? Now, in the case, Rodriguez v. U.S. U.S. 575, and it's U.S. 348. It's back in 2015. Stated that traffic stops should not be extended beyond the scope of the original stop. Now, if your car smells like weed, you can't resist that. It's just going to happen. You shouldn't be smoking weed in your car anyway, dumbass. But what's going to happen there is that they have basically a certain amount of time to have that drug dog there. It has to be a reasonable amount of time. So that's, to write a ticket usually takes between 20 and 30 minutes. If they extend it beyond that, it becomes an unreasonable detainment under the law. Good water. But even in the case of Rodriguez v. U.S., the individual still went to jail because the appellate court decided that though the police extended the stop beyond the scope, it was a reasonable amount of time that they did it. They said it was between 5 and 10 minutes. I'm just giving a layman, but that's what they said. So if you're sitting there 30 minutes, they extended the stop. Now, under all of these things, you have ways to fight back, but it'll cost a lot of money to fight back. You say you feel like your rights were violated. Now, I'm going to give you the information. There's Title 18, Section 242, which states that police cannot violate your rights under the Constitution in order to affect their intention. It's a violation of rights under the color of law. To say a cop is demanding your ID and there's no reason for you to give it to them. You're walking down the street, they pull up, tell you to give me your ID. You say, I don't have to, but you can say. You can deny them. And their little trick on that is they will always ask for your ID. They will not demand it. But once they demand it, under threat of arrest, okay, whether you give it to them or not, if you give it to them, it's still a violation because under the color of law, they forced you to violate the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Pardon me, I dropped something. Yeah, I'm beating myself up today. Let's see if I can fix this. Okay. Let me get this back and straight. Sorry, I dropped my pad on the floor with my bullet notes. But basically saying they can't violate your rights in order to affect their intention. Okay? Getting your ID when they're not supposed to, going in your pockets when they're not supposed to. That there's a difference between a detainment and a seizure, or having probable cause. Police would like to use the term they have a reasonable suspicion. But reasonable suspicion has to be attached to an articulable offense, which means they have to articulate what crime they are suspecting you of committing in order to affect getting your ID and making an arrest, writing you a ticket, blah, blah, blah. Now, if it's, believe me, if it's an ordinance violation or a crime, you have to give it up. I'll explain the difference between an ordinance violation and a crime. Jaywalking is an ordinance violation. Running a red light is an ordinance violation. Stop sign, blah, blah, blah. Those ticketable offenses, those are ordinance violations. They're not crimes. Okay, hit and run, that's a crime. Okay, shooting at somebody, that's a crime. Possession of a firearm by a felon is a crime. But they'll use these things to gather information on you. And they'll always, believe me, 90% of the time they want your ID, they want to run you for warrants. They want to know your criminal past so they can try to affect some other arrest. And the best thing you can do in those situations is shut the fuck up. All of these guys on YouTube and Twitch or whatever you're viewing your videos on, anyone with legal experience will tell you when the cops ask you a question, don't answer it, shut up. And that'll give that cops will try to use this even against you. They'll try to say you're obstructing their investigation by not answering their questions and not giving the ID, and want to charge you with obstruction. Now, in most cases, obstruction or interference, that's, how can you say, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a physical act in order to interfere, in order to obstruct, okay? Which means, like, if a cop is going after somebody and you block the cop, that's obstruction, that's interference. But they'll try to use those words to try to get you to violate your own rights. Don't fuck them. Don't say nothing to them. Best thing for you to do is be quiet. If you ever watch First 48, you know they snitching on themselves. I wasn't nowhere near there. Don't give them it. Your alibi doesn't work. Your alibi don't work. If they got you, and they'll put you in handcuffs and take you in. If he has to ask you questions, he ain't got shit on you. Matter of fact, I'll give you some good information. And here we go. If you get pulled over, they love to ask you, well, where you coming from? You want to know my response is? That way. Where you going? That way. Fuck you. I ain't asking your questions. You don't need to know all that information on me. Where I work. What do I do for a living? How I get the car. Mind your business. I mean, but that's just a couple of things. But I'll get into a bit of case law. We have Delaware v. Prowse. Okay? And I'm looking down at this to read it so I can get it to you right. It says the police may not stop a motorist without reasonable suspicion of a crime to check ID. Saying, and they love to do this, well, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Minding my business? Why don't you try it? Yeah, I'm going to wind up in handcuffs. I'm a smart ass. But I'm old, so I'm going to sit back and try and take him to court. I'm going to tell you the best thing you can have right now, and this is true. Get a dash cam. If you feel you're legit, oh, they're all over Amazon. You can get one with 1 camera, 2 cameras. So I got one with 4 cameras. It looks front ways, back ways, and it looks out the passenger side window and the driver's side window. So no matter which way they come from for me, I'm gonna know everything they said and everything they did. Okay. Oh, I need to backtrack. I was talking about them pulling you out of your car. Pardon me, I forgot to finish about that. Best thing you could do is they're gonna pull you over. They're gonna take you out the car. You take your key out the car with you. You lock that door and close it when they pull you out. Now, an intrusion on the Fourth Amendment is to encroach on someone's property. And I'll explain that. Him leaning into the car to look for something, that is a search. Okay? Him going to look under the seats, that's a search. Open your glove compartment, open your center console, all of that is a search. You can deny that search at any time unless they do their little trick to where they say that the dog alerted to a substance in your car. And I've done some research on that. The research states that dogs alert in 2 ways. You have passive dogs and you have aggressive dogs. That's the way they're trained. Now, passive dogs, what they're going to do is when they have a scent of a narcotic or whatever they're supposed to be looking for, they're either going to sit or lay down in front of where they smell it. Aggressive dogs are going to try to tear that shit apart. Okay? Most of these cops egg these dogs on to jump up and scratch, and it's a trick they use. Okay? The truth on dog alerts is the fact that, and this is actually fact, that 50% of the alerts that dogs have are false. They find nothing. Most of the times they find less than nothing. Truth of the matter is, if you buy a car and somebody that had that car before you smoked weed in that car at some point, oh, you're going to get an alert. You're going to get an alert on that car. That smell is going to stay in that car for many, many months and maybe even years. Unless you shampoo it out, full detail inside and out. And even then, they'll just make the dog hit on something that ain't there. If you watch the videos, say, hey boy, you find it, go find it. That's them egging the dog on. During a good drug sniff from a dog, the dog should not have anything said to him. They should walk around the car without saying anything to the dog. They never do that. You're going to get your car searched no matter what when that dog comes out. They're never going to say, well, the dog didn't hit. The dog didn't hit on shit. But that's a little something. I I'll give you some more information on some other things. Okay. We have, what's this? A Brady Act violation. Oh, listen, Brady is something you should learn. Got my little needle and thread. Uh, the Brady Act is something you should really know. A Brady violation is when a prosecutor fails to disclose evidence to the defendant. Okay? But a lot of people don't know is there's a Brady list. The Brady list is of officers who have been proven to lie and are no longer allowed to give testimony in court because of their tendency to lie. So, in all facts, even if that cop pulled you over, had you on video with him, he can't come to court because of a Brady violation. Now, trying to get that information is not easy, and a lot of municipalities and principalities, or however you want to see it, they actually hesitate on putting cops on these lists as long as they can. In Atlanta, it was shown that it took them 2 years to put somebody on a Brady list, and they were, I believe the officer almost was charged with perjury, but they held out as long as they could. Was it? It might have been West Virginia. I have to actually do a little research into that, but it is true. So sometimes when you go to court, you can ask that information. You know, is this officer on the Brady list? Does he have any Brady violations? And you can even ask if the prosecutor has any Brady violations, because they lie. That's just the truth. The truth is this entire matter is the fact that the cops are allowed to lie to you, but you are not allowed to lie to them. Understand, you can't. They'll try to hit you with giving false information for giving them the wrong shoe size. Oh, you were a size 10. No, these are a 9.5. Take your shoe off. These shoes are a 10. They try to lock you up for lying to them. Listen, best thing to do is shut up. Going back to that, shut up. Matter of fact, I'll give you another little bit of information. Brown v. Texas. Section 443, US 49. That's back in 1979. And this is a good one because a lot of going back to, I said it before. Failure to identify laws. Failure to identify falls under Brown v. Texas. You cannot be arrested for refusing to identify without reasonable suspicion of wrongdoing. It violates the Fourth Amendment. Going back to that. As a matter of fact, let me give a few of these amendments to the Constitution that you should know. When dealing with the police, 1, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, 6. 1, 4, 5, and 6. Now, your First Amendment right, everybody knows freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom to express one's grievances, and freedom to assemble. Those are the 5 tenets of the First Amendment of the Constitution. Now, you always got a cop that wants to tell you to shut up. No, you don't have to shut up. Here's what you don't do. You do not raise your voice. Talk to them calm and say whatever the hell you want to them. Okay, disorderly conduct is what they try to hit you with if you curse the cops. Under the First Amendment, and going back into that, which one was it? Oh, we'll just talk about the Fourth Amendment. First Amendment. Your speech cannot be turned into a crime. Okay, if you're cussing at the cop and he doesn't like what you're saying, that doesn't make it a crime. Okay? Disorderly conduct has a disturbance fact, but it has to be unreasonable. Okay? They always talk about the reasonable place, time, and mannerism. Okay? So if a cop is standing there, they love to cuss at you, push on you, da da da. Say what the hell you want. Fuck you, cop. You ain't nothing but a piggy, da da da. Make him feel bad about himself. But don't cause a grand disturbance and yell at the top of your voice, because they will hit you with a disorderly conduct because they're saying you're disturbing others. Keep your voice calm and say what the hell you want. Now, your Fourth Amendment rights. I'm going to skip over 2 and 3 because most people don't really understand 2 and 3 anyway. But your Fourth Amendment right, as I said before, is being secure in your person, papers, and effects. Okay? That's the whole thing with trying to get your ID. If you haven't committed a crime, they cannot force you to give your ID. If they threaten you with arrest, you got 2 choices. You make sure that you ask them, are you telling me that if I do not give you my ID, you're going to arrest me? If he says yes, that is a Fourth Amendment violation and you can sue under Title 18, Section 242. Okay? Fifth Amendment, everybody knows the Fifth Amendment. Right. Hey, shut up. Don't say nothing. I've been saying it the whole time. Plead the Fifth. Well, if you plead the Fifth, first thing cops are going to try to do is act like you have something to hide. Now, here's what you have to understand about Fourth and Fifth Amendment, and even the Sixth. Invocation. Invocation means that you have to verbally say these things. You can't say, oh, I have the right to remain silent. That's making a statement. That's not invoking. Okay? You have to say, I am invoking my Fourth Amendment right, my Fifth Amendment right, and my Sixth Amendment right. Okay? Now, here's the confusion that comes along with a lot of people. Just because you invoke your Fifth Amendment does not mean he cannot continue to question you. He's going to stand there and ask you a million questions. Be quiet. Because your Sixth Amendment is the last resort. Inside the Sixth Amendment, it says that you have a right to counsel. I will not answer any questions without having a lawyer present. What that does keeps him from trying to talk you into handcuffs, because they don't talk to you because they like you. They don't want to be your friend. They can come up acting like buddy, but they're trying to put you in handcuffs and take you away. So once you invoke your Fourth, Fifth, and Sixth, I'm not giving you my ID. I'm not speaking to you, and I will not answer any questions without a lawyer being present. They will immediately try to talk you out of this. They will say, well, you're not under arrest. You don't need the right to remain silent. No, you are a government official. I will not say anything to a government official. Kiss my black ass. Because everything you say and do is going to be used against you in court. Invoke, be quiet. I mean, that's just breaking down a few of them. I'm no legal scholar. Okay, I'm not an activist on no Constitution. I don't know the entire Constitution myself. I believe there are 26 amendments to the Constitution. Most important, to my recollection, of the first 18. But get you a little pocket Constitution and carry it around. Okay, and the biggest thing about this is when you see the police, make sure you have a camera, because that's what they're scared of. You pull that camera phone out, they're gonna be real careful about what they say and do, and they're gonna try to get you to put that camera down. Tell you straight up, don't put that camera down. You have a right to record the police. Under the Constitution, there's freedom of press, freedom of expression. Okay, you have the right to record them. Don't let them tell you, oh, you got to put the phone away. No, I'm recording this for my safety. Oh, we have our cameras rolling too. Yeah, but if you go through hell in a handbasket trying to get them that footage from them body cams. In North Carolina, they won't give them to you unless the court tells you. Wait, where's the Freedom of Information Act in that state? Oh, yeah, you got to know the Freedom of Information Act. Everything that cops record, everything all the paperwork they do, unless it's an ongoing case, that has to be turned over. Don't let them talk you into saying, okay, I don't have to do that. No, get them. Get them. You can go and request their salaries if you want. Get them. Don't let them fuck you. Okay? Matter of fact, I give a last piece of advice for all the brothers and sisters who have had their legal troubles in the past. If you are driving a car that is in your name, when they run your license plate, your entire criminal history comes up. So I suggest that you don't have nothing in your car you don't supposed to have. Because you will, whatever they got you for before, they're trying to get you for again. You got a marijuana arrest. Oh, they'll tell you, oh, I'm not worried about no little bit of weed. That little bit of weed will have you sitting in that county jail for God knows how long it takes them to process you. So just be quiet. Do what you got to do. And if you don't, you're going where you deserve to be because you should have shut the fuck up. Well, I'm gonna have to wrap this up. This is actually my longest video. I've neglected on telling people this, but I'm trying to get enough subscribers so I can finally go live and have discussions with you on these things, and maybe piss a couple people off. So, as everyone says, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can get updates when I'm going to drop a video. And once I'm able to go live, I'm actually going to have a partner on. I'm just trying to get there so we can have real discussions on this crap that has become the world. But as I like to end what I have to say, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, but only shit comes out. Y'all have a good night.